Hello, my friends. It's Father Archer here, and welcome to your December virtue video. The virtue for this month is the virtue of purity, which is one of my favorite virtues. The most famous reference to the virtue of purity, of course, comes from the Beatitudes, the beginning of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. And in that sermon, Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God." What a marvelous thing to see God himself. The great philosopher Søren Kierkegaard said that to be pure of heart means that you desire one thing. A man or a woman who lives the virtue of purity channels all of her energy and passion into that one great desire, the desire to see God face to face. And so we desire that which is truly good. Purity is passionate energy directed towards that which is truly good. And one great image for what purity looks like is to think back to that long time ago in the Garden of Eden before Adam and Eve committed the original sin. In that state of original innocence, Adam and Eve had the virtue of purity, where they would see God directly, we hear, in the evening of every day. That in the breezy part of the day in the evening, God would come and he would speak to Adam and Eve face to face. But that's not the only way that they saw God in the garden. They would also see God in all of the creatures, and they would see God in each other. Have you ever had the experience of walking outside, perhaps on a beautiful day, or even on a day that's kind of too cold and rainy and gloomy? But whatever the weather, you look around and you see just the goodness of the natural world, that God created this world so good, and your heart and your mind can be lifted up as you consider that the trees, the flowers, the grass, perhaps the people that you see in your life, that all of these gives you some glimpse of the goodness of God. This is the vision of a person who is pure of heart. One of my favorite things is to hold babies, and I'm sure many of you perhaps have little brothers and sisters or little cousins who are still quite small. And there's this beautiful thing when you're holding a baby or when you're interacting with a baby. When you smile at the baby, very often the baby smiles back, right? That their eyes kind of crinkle, they begin to laugh. And this is such a beautiful image of what it means to be pure. That baby, just with the great loving heart, is opened up and is receptive to the love that you're showing that infant. And so for us to live purity well, we need to be like that baby. Jesus says, "Unless you acquire the heart of a child, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven." And so we have hearts that are opened in childlike wonder and joy. We have hearts that desire to receive God. And so, my friends, this month, to live the virtue of purity well, there are two other virtues that you can foster within your heart: the virtue of gratitude and the virtue of wonder. When we wonder at the beauty of the world, at the beauty of our family members, at the beauty of our classmates, at all the beauty that we see around us, that is when our heart and our mind is opened to have that purity of sight, to see God in all things. And so I want to conclude with a very famous prayer of St. Augustine that he prayed to the Lord, springing forth from his heart. It comes from his book, The Confessions, after his conversion, that speaks of this great renewal of the purity of vision of his heart. And this is what he said: "Late have I loved you, O beauty ever ancient, ever new. Late have I loved you. You were within me, but I was outside, and it was there that I searched for you. In my unloveliness, I plunged into the lovely things that you created. Created things kept me from you, yet if they had not been in you, they would not have been at all. You called, you shouted, you broke through my deafness. You flashed, you shone, you dispelled my blindness. You breathed your fragrance on me. I breathed you in, and now I pant for more. You touched me, now I burn for your peace." So, my friends, God dwells within you, and he desires to give you that purity of sight, to see his presence in all people, in all creatures. And to do this well, it's so important that every day we enter deep within our hearts, and that we spend some time allowing God to nourish us in prayer, that we close our eyes so that that inner vision of our hearts may be opened to see the beauty and glory of God Himself.